And hello, we are here, hopefully. If this is working, please do put the comments in the video. I can see Bruce is here. Hello there, how are you doing, Bruce? Good evening. Can you tell me if you can hear me? Welcome to the new home. I'll explain a bit more about that in a minute. Hopefully everything is working as it should be, because there's a lot of things changed this week. An awful lot of things have changed this week. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute as well. Wavy Davey, good evening. Welcome to it. I hope you are well, my friend. Whoever else is watching as well, good evening. Welcome to my new home for the live streams. Thank you, Bruce, for putting that up on Twitter, by the way. I really do appreciate that. I need to actually share it on Twitter myself now. It's something I actually need to do. Now, tonight, I got a few things I'm going to talk about, actually. It's been an interesting week. And we're going to have a look at a bit of equipment in a minute, which might be older than Bruce, but I don't know if that's even possible. And just to explain what I'm talking about, we're going to take a look at this. And this is something that I have owned for a very long time, but I'd forgotten I owned it. And it was buried in a box in a dark and dingy place for probably the last 30 years. Probably 25 years it's probably been there. So we're going to take a look at this and work out what it actually is as well. So we're going to do that in a minute too. And I'll get 10 points for anyone who can guess what it is. Because it's quite an interesting bit of kit from an electronics point of view. So thank you, Bruce. Thank you for letting me know. So tonight we are in our new home, which is where I'm going to do the live streams from now on. Just to explain this, if you haven't seen, I did put a video out on the channel talking about this one, on that one there, which a couple of things actually. We've done two things. Number one is I've moved the live stream, which is on this new channel, and I'll explain all of my reasons for that in a minute. But I also turned off the mid-rolls as well. And as I did explain that in the video, if you have seen it, the biggest reason for me to change it was I felt I wasn't seeing any benefit. And what's the point of putting people through something if there's no benefit? So, but the big change is moving the live stream over to here. And whilst it is a step back in many ways, it's going to be hopefully a step back to make a step forward. For instance, this channel doesn't have monetization, so no ads for any of the videos on this channel because I don't have enough subscribers on it. We've only got, what are we up to today? I didn't actually look earlier. Where are we? We've got 90 so far, so thank you to the 90 who are watching it, but we haven't got the minimum required at the moment. But my plan is this. All the live content will be on here now. And then what I will do is if I want to move anything over to the next channel, I'll then edit it and do it that way. And my decision for this was based around some strange things I've seen YouTube doing of late around the live streams and the way it handles them. And I think they're having a detrimental effect on how YouTube is promoting the channel. And it's a little bit weird, and I don't know what it's all about. But what I thought was, why not keep them separate? Why not build them up one at a time and do a live stream in a second one? And I think that's the way I'm going to do it. It is a bit of a step backwards, but we will get there in the end. We will get there in the end with it. So thank you to those who have followed us over. There's 7 of you watching now. So this is the home of live stream. This is where it will be from now on. But this is obviously a sub-channel based off the main channel, which is where my main content is. So if you haven't checked that out, please do. And if you're not a subscriber of this one, I'd really appreciate you hitting the button. Really, it's as simple as that. So let's get on with this one. Now, we've got the chat up. I can see we've got types here. We got Davey is there, Wavy Davey, Bruce is there as well. If there's anyone else in there lurking, please say hello. If you have any questions whilst I'm doing this, please do let me know as well. Let me know your thoughts on the moving around of things too. You know, I'd be interested to know what you guys think about moving the live stream to a separate channel. It's something I've thought about for a little bit of time. And whether it's the right decision or not, who knows. This week also things are a little different. If you look, I finally bought the lavalier mic for the Wireless Go. Yay. I finally haven't got the box on me. I'm simply using the lav mic now. Let me know if the audio sounds any different as well. How's the volume on it? How does it come across? Because I'm not sure. You know, I've been playing with this over the last couple of days. Anyway, let's get on with some actual content. Okay, first thing we're going to talk about is this. And this is the slight delay to the launch DJI had plans. Originally, tomorrow was meant to be a launch. However, that has been set back until October. Now, more details on this will come in the future. I have spoke to some of the guys at DJI, and the reason for this is logic more than anything. They had one product which was ready and another one which was going to be a little bit later, and what they've decided to do is launch them both at the same time. And rather than do it one, and as they're similar products, they didn't want users buying one and then a month later them releasing something else that might have better suited that user. So they decided to delay it a little bit and put them both out at the same time. So that's the reason for the delay. But it's all going to go ahead. It's all going to happen on the October 20. We just don't know what date yet. When we do get that date, I will let you guys know. Something else I was just quickly going to mention from DJI is, where is it? It's this thing. The Osmo Mobile 4. I've seen a few people getting them. I've seen one or two little breakages happening on them as well. Now, I'm thinking of ordering one of them in. Where's it gone? Come back. Let's click on the page, shall we? I'm thinking of ordering one in to have a play because I've never had one of the Osmo Mobiles. Robert, well done. 3 notifications. I like that. I have nothing to do with that. That's not on me. I have no responsibility. But yeah, a couple of people have had joystick. Original Dobo, Ken had his joystick fall off. I've seen a couple of things. It is quite a low-end product, but you still wouldn't expect to have issues like that. But we're going to have to see. So really, that's about it from DJI. Now, it's been an interesting week in the drone industry, actually. Switching to the big camera a second. There's been quite a few announcements on high-end stuff, and I'm going to walk through these very quickly in a minute because they are all quite interesting, and what they add up to is a bit of a problem for DJI in some ways. And it's going to be interesting to see how DJI react in this because it is industrial and commercial-based product, so it isn't something that's really going to affect consumers. However, it's more of a sign than anything else of where we are headed on things, and it's going to be quite interesting to see. And what we're talking about is this. The first thing is Autel's announcement that they are bringing the version of the Evo 2 Dual being made in the USA. Now, I'm actually quite a bit skeptical about this one specifically. I just want to be clear about something a second. I'm not against Autel in any way, but I have been quite critical about them on this channel in the past because some of their behaviour, compared to all of the other manufacturers, in my opinion, is a tad underhanded at times. If we take the advertising on the Evo 2, it certainly wasn't as others have done it. And I would be more than happy to call out DJI, Parrot, Unique, Skydio if they did it, but they didn't. Autel did, and they were the only one who have played some games with their marketing. Anyway, what they have said is the Autel Enterprise announcing that the Evo 2 Dual bundle, which is the dual thermal, is going to be manufactured in the US. Now, what we don't know is this manufactured or assembled? Because the video that they showed to me looks like the guy was just bolting the gimbal on. So it is interesting to see where this ends up, and it should not be forgotten that Autel is a Chinese company. Their parent company is Chinese. They do try to play this game of being a US company. What you have is Autel Robotics, which is the drone arm, is a registered US company with US staff, but their parent company, Autel, is Chinese. And DJI setup was no different to this. DJI had their America base and their China base, and DJI support staff are all Americans, so there is a bit of a play on words here with Autel and how they're doing this. And manufactured, I think, is a strong term, and I'd like to see what exactly they are saying is manufactured. Are we talking the entire drone is hand assembled? Are we talking they are simply putting bits of it on? So we're going to have to see. And they're trying to get some of this money that is roaming around right now for public safety, SAR and government contracts, and that's what they're after. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think they'll get very far with this, and there's a reason I don't think they'll get in very far, because they're really not needed right now. I'm going to take a sip of my tea before I move on. Good evening, Mark. I hope you are well. Thank you for finding us. Welcome to our new home. So that is Autel saying that. Interesting, but, you know, a bit skeptical I am. Just want to check one thing. I've changed the way the camera looks on this now. You can see it's a bit more zoomed in on my face, sorry. Sorry about that. The next one is the Astro announcement or hint. And this is a new aircraft from Free Fly Systems, which is going to be... It's a bit of a strange one because it's a cine drone. And it sort of has been marketed towards the Inspire 2 users. In fact, what was bizarre about this one was one or two websites were saying, wanting a Mavic 3, come check out the new Astro. This is not the same aircraft. It's not remotely meant to be the same aircraft. I don't understand why anyone is comparing a Mavic 3 to this. It's like comparing a transit van, you know, want a Ferrari, we've got a new transit van out. That's what it's like saying. So it's very weird. Very, very weird. But does look to be an interesting build. Small, light, quiet, fast. They're saying it will carry or will come with a Sony A7R4, which is very, very interesting. Weather sealed. Linux companion computer, LTE. It is using the Skynode, appears to be using the Skynode flight controller, or at least part of the Skynode from Arteon, Arterion. I can never remember how to say this company's name. And I'll talk about them a little bit in a second. There are some other things I know about it as well, which I don't want to mention because I'm not sure if it's meant to be public knowledge. But overall, it looks an interesting bit of kit. But it is still a quad, it's still a multi-rotor, and no idea on price. With that camera on board, Bruce, is going to be expensive. But it's a cine drone, and the only thing we can really compare this to right now really is the Inspire 2. Because there's very little else off the shelf that compares, you know, large sensor, high megapixels. You know, and if they do build this properly, and it's sold at the rough right price, there would be a lot of people interested. A lot of people interested. Now, it is going to be running a version of PX4, which is all to do with Arteon or Arterion. And that's where it gets a little bit strange around the whole PX4 and Arterion. I got to learn how to say their name properly. Arterion, because it's PX4 Enterprise. And if you don't know who Arterion are, they're a company set up by the Lawrence who originally created or designed the original Pixhawk. They are doing incredible amounts of advertising at the moment, sort of trying to rewrite history, which many people don't agree with, including myself. You know, they didn't create everything. And they're certainly putting out some interesting comments around open source flight controllers and how they leaded the way of flight stacks, whereas Ardra was around before that as well. So it's getting a bit messy on the open source side, and they're to do with Linux and all of this crap. But anyway, it's using their autopilot. But it's going to be interesting to see what this aircraft is like, because we know Freefly makes some really good bits of kit. They really do. So that's coming. Neil Williams, how are you doing? Built to fail. Mark, I saw a comment about the video they put out this weekend was weird. Yeah, it is a bit strange. You know, they make some good gear. And this is getting interesting. It is getting interesting. So, that's the other aircraft. Now, there was one more, which, again, on SUS News, Gary's site. And and that's Teal unveil the Golden Eagle. This is a very interesting product, and again, it is not for the general public, but it is a very, very interesting product indeed from a commercial and industrial drone aspect. And whilst it might not have all the bells and whistles of DJI, it certainly is interesting. If I just you know, they're producing a package again similar to the Mavic Enterprise, the Mavic Dual, and all of these drones, if you notice, have all got this dual camera thing. But again, very, very interesting. And these are the things that really add up to a bit of a problem for DJI, and that is we've gone from there being no competition in any sector to DJI to now the enterprise sector looking very, very different. You have companies announcing US manufacturing, Autel, you know, regardless, they've announced it. You have Skydio producing the X2. You've got Parrot with the Anafi USA. You've got these guys, Teal, putting out the Golden Eagle. You've got a number of companies that now have offerings on the table that just weren't there 12 months ago. And whereas the enterprise and the military side were all using DJI gear, there is plenty of capable gear out there right now that doesn't have to be DJI. And that will give them a bit of a problem. That will give them a bit of a problem moving forward, because we all know what the political situation is like in the US right now, and there is an alternative, and that's where that money is going, and that's why Skydio are doing what they're doing right now. And add on top of these guys, that's not adding up a couple of others that are out there as well. You've got the Mantis by the British company. It'll come to me in a minute, and they've got a US arm now as well. Oh, what are they? It's just jumped out of my head. It'll come to me in a second. Not you, Mantis. I'm going to have to go on my phone and check, because I do want to name them, because they make a really good product. They really do. Go back to the Teal video a second. Let's go on notifications. I got a notification. The new US arm actually was following me on Twitter. Evolve Dynamics. Sorry guys, I am a big fan. And Evolve Dynamics, you know, so Evolve Dynamics, you know, these guys have been making the Mantis in the UK. It is the Mantis for a number of years, and they've got their US arm now as well. And you know, this is again a custom UAS solution, entirely custom, not, you know, certainly not made in China or based off anything else. And it's a good bit of kit. To be fair to it, it's a very good bit of kit. So you've got a number of options coming up right now that just weren't there before. And this is going to give DJI a problem. It's that simple. It really, really is. Summer. Yes, Bruce. It is going to give DJI a problem. A real problem. And I think they've made a few massive mistakes. And one of those mistakes was fundamentally not bringing US manufacturing. And I have shouted and screamed about this to various people at DJI who were at DJI. And I think 2 years ago, if they'd have opened a proper US manufacturing office with completely different software, even if they took away some of the capabilities of the aircraft, and they just made it a very basic open source software that didn't have all the functionality of the Chinese models, because it doesn't need it for those applications, they'd have had a very strong position. Right now, it's gone. It's eroded. And whilst the M300, for instance, is an extremely impressive product, I just don't think it's enough. I honestly don't think it's enough. So from an enterprise drone point of view, I think they've blown it, hand on heart. And I think they'll still make, you know, they'll make fantastic products, but I think from the domestic US market, I think things have changed, period. And I don't think they'll go back. Yeah, it's an interesting situation, isn't it? It is an interesting situation. So, that's it on the main drone news. Now, there's 12 of you guys watching, I think, at the moment. That's what my little screen is telling me. Is it 12 of you? There's 12 of you. Hello. Welcome to the live stream. If you're new, please do consider hitting the subscribe button. This is our new home for the live streams. If you've got any question, guys, while I'm going through this, please do put them in. Please hit the subscribe button. No, I need to get it up so I can turn monetization on the new channel. It's horrible trying to get these things. I also need to put a message out on Twitter that's saying I'm live. I'm going to do that whilst I wait for some questions to come in. DJI's future will be assured. I am not commenting on that, Bruce. I am not. Right, I'm just going to do some shilling whilst you guys sit there for one moment, please. Let me just do this and let me click on my own video. Where's the share button? There's the share button. Share to Twitter. Now live on. Live on YouTube. Oh no, now live new channel on YouTube for more. Okay, we'll just do that. YouTube hashtag drones hashtag FPV. Those two are the big ones. There we go. Let's put that one out. That's the shilling done, guys. Always getting the shilling in, getting the shilling in. Is that the blue pill? Yes, I do type like I live, fast without some mistakes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, very much so. Very much so. Okay. So, what's next to talk about? Well, I want to talk about a camera. Sorry, but I have to do it. Hello, Bruce. Gary? Not Bruce. Gary? Good evening, Gary. I've been talking. I've had your website up, Gary. You've missed it. I've had your website up. See? SUS News. Joan DJI. I had to have Joan DJI up for that one. But SUS News again. Great website. Fantastic website. Check out SUS News. Now, I want to talk about a camera. Now, before I talk about the camera, I want to talk about this. Right. I thought this video was out, Bruce, and I was disappointed to find it wasn't. So what's going on? Where's this video? You've tweeted this week. I want it now. I was looking forward to watching that, and I haven't seen it yet. So I look forward to waiting for this one to come out. Mark says, like your Google ad, come up for cheers. Oh yeah, was it? I didn't notice that. Let's have a look. What was it? Creative Cloud. Yes, it does. Look at that. Secret Lab. That one is Creative Cloud. I was talking to Adobe yesterday, who have thoroughly annoyed me. Thoroughly annoyed me. And I'll talk about that as well. And what's this one? Yeah, what we got in the ads. That's very funny. That's very funny. No pornography, at least. There's a bonus. So where's this video, Bruce? I want the answer. Okay. Now, yes. Nice to see you here, Gary. I watched a Wicked. What's the name of that film? The South African rugby film last night. I enjoyed it. Very, very good. Wicked. I can never say that word. Evictus. I think it was Evictus. Very good. Don't know what you're complaining about South Africa. It looks fine. Now, it's coming soon. Coming soon, is it, Bruce? Get on with that. I want to see it. Anyway, I am putting out... Let's go full screen. I am putting out a video on this week. So if you see the video come out, you probably want to avoid it. And I'm putting a video out on two things. I'm putting a video out on the equipment I currently use, because it's one I worked on ages ago and I just hadn't finished. So I've started it again, and I'm going to get it done this week. And I just want to share, really, a bit of my experience on what I'm using to do the content on my channel and what I think about it. But I am then going to talk about this, which is the new Panasonic S5. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I'm a Panasonic fanboy, basically, because I use Panasonic cameras. I have a G9, I have a GH5. That camera there is the GH5. What you're seeing there on the bench, that's the GH5. I have a wide range of lenses. You know, I've invested in this system quite heavily. That's where I'm at with it right now. So it is a system I've invested in, and I've been wanting to upgrade for a while to full frame, and I hadn't found anything. Yes, you can, Mark, and that's going to be one of the next big things with it. And I hadn't found anything, but I tell you something, this camera looks very, very interesting. I'm not going to go into too much depth. I am pining for it like a love-struck teenager right now, but I am holding myself back. Bruce is a big fan of Panasonic cameras as well. If you watch on the telly, it doesn't add up your viewing numbers. Hello, Andy. How are you doing? It's a very interesting bit of gear, and Bruce is a fan of Panasonic. Bruce is using a Panasonic, but he's not using a lensless, but Bruce likes his camcorders, and there are some really valid reasons for that. But Panasonic have really got me wanting this today. Really got me wanting this camera, but I'm holding off. I'm not buying it, and there are some reasons, and I'm going to wait to see if there's a GH6, because I do have a GH5 and a G9, and I am waiting. If you are interested in cameras, there's 2 reviews I strongly suggest you check out. Number 1, check out DSLR Video Shooter's review on this camera, because it's very, very good. Where is it? It's down here somewhere. It's very, very good. There it is. Fantastic overview. Kai's is worth a look as well. I quite enjoyed his. Gerald Undunn's is always good. But definitely check out a couple of the videos from Pro AV. Now, Pro AV are a dealer in the UK, and they have put out some really good content, especially the comparison to the GH5 and showing you the low light performance difference. It is astonishing. It really is. So it's worth checking out. The S5 has autofocus held built right in. Yeah, but so does what I already have. And it's a very valid point I'll talk about. And everyone complains, let's go full screen for this rant, that Panasonic autofocus is not good enough. Well, that's okay if you're a Sony user, if you're a Canon user. But I'm a Panasonic user already, and I don't use autofocus. Today, I have been recording the video which I'm going to put out on the channel about the GH5 and the G9 using this camera, which is the Sony A6400 in autofocus. And it is far from perfect. It still pulses. This is probably pulsing now because this is in autofocus. So it's far from as simple as saying Panasonic are wrong with their autofocus. Yes, it's contrast based, doesn't have phase detect, but it's all based on what you're doing already. You know, I manually focus 90% of my stuff already, 95% of my stuff. So for me, it really isn't a problem. And it's better than the focus on the G9 and the GH5. Therefore, it's an improvement. And I still say this is the A6400, which is meant to have as good autofocus. I think it's the same autofocus system as the A9, and it's meant to be as one of the better ones. Not as good as the new A7R S3, but it's very, very good. And I still don't like it. I'm still not happy with it. So all of this talk about autofocus in my eyes is complete nonsense, because it's all down to you and what you do with it. It's as simple as that. Chelsea's bar. I'm not even commenting on that. I have watched a load of reviews on the S5, and my comment, and I end my video, I'll give you a hint at the end of the video, is this, right? This camera is this. As a GH5 user extensively, and as a G9 user, this is the natural step if I want to go full frame. Sony E-mount isn't. Canon isn't. This keeps me within the Panasonic family that I like, based on the ergonomics of the camera, the behavior, the menu systems, the overall color science, and it gives me an option to go full frame. And the S1 didn't do that, and I've tried the S1. I got to spend 4 hours with the S1. It was too big, too heavy, too expensive. Great camera, but my hand was hurting after I used it. And it just wasn't right. I could have sold all of my camera gear and not had enough money to get an S1 and a lens. The other big change with the S5 is the new set of lenses that Panasonic have announced as well. And if you haven't seen it, Panasonic have announced a whole new range of primes to go with this camera, and f1.8 primes, and there's some really nice looking lenses, and I believe the price on these new lenses is going to be very good as well. It really is. So I really want this camera so badly, it's ridiculous, but I am holding back. And the reason I'm holding back is I am waiting for a GH6, because if Panasonic can make a GH6 with dual ISO, like on the GH5S, with 13.5 stops of dynamic range, with contrast and phase detect autofocus, higher megapixel count, 24, 26 on MFT, that would mean I would get to stay within the same lens system I've already invested in, because I've been invested in lenses, as you guys, you know, that all costs money, and I could then get the benefits of heading towards full frame. And whilst I wouldn't have all of the benefits, if I could have much better low light performance, better autofocus, better megapixel count, it would do 95% of what I want. And that's why I'm holding out right now. But overall, I have to say, I am yearning for this thing. I really is so close. Ian, one of the guys I know, P something D, comes on SUAS News and now and again with Gary, was very good guy. He's already ordered one, the Git, and he already has one on order. And it's not perfect, but the other thing is this camera costs less than 2,000 quid in the UK. Okay, this is still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. For 1 minute, I am not playing down the fact that it's £2 grand. Okay, don't think I am, because I'm not. But you're getting a kit lens for that. He's got some anamorphics already, and it is anamorphic capable, Bruce, as well, and that's why Ian wants it. But what you're getting is a 20 to 60 kit lens, so that 20 is full frame. So for instance, on the GH5, I used the 12 to 60 f2.8 the most, and that is, you know, 2 times crop factor, so that's 24mm. So this will actually give me a wider bottom end, narrower top end. I won't have the same level of zoom, but it's going to be very interesting. So Ian's ordered one, the lucky beggar. I am super jealous, super jealous. I have clicked this little button here and asked Panasonic to lend me one for 2 days. I would love to lend one, but I really do think Panasonic have done a fantastic job on this. They really have. You know, if we go, you know, look at, where are we here? S5M. That's coming with the, where is it? DCS1. Where is it? The S5. So S5K. So if we go in the shop, let's go to which one of these? Let's just go to Park Cameras a second. We'll use Park. With that lens kit, it's 1,999, and this is where it actually gets really interesting. Panasonic are bundling in right now with it. If you buy it now at launch, you can have either a free 45 f2.8 Sigma, which that lens I think was 400 quid on its own, or 300 quid, 350, or you're getting the XLR1, which is the XLR microphone input adapter, which is a fantastic piece of kit. And when someone I saw do the costing, I think on the body on its own, it brings it like down to like the equivalent of 1,300 quid. So I think it's about 1,700 quid you're paying for the camera if you take those prices into account. So it's a cracking deal. Cracking deal. No, I wouldn't be going with the Sigma. You know, for me, Bruce, if I ordered this camera, I'd be going with that 20 to 60 kit lens, and then wait for the new range of primes, because they have announced, where is it? Panasonic new L-mount primes. They do still need, here we go, on DP Review, these are what they've announced, is a 24 f1.8, 35, 50, 85 and 70 to 300. Now that 70 to 300 is a very interesting lens. Okay, equivalent on MFT, so it's going to be half that, so that would be 35 to 150. I've got the fantastic 35-100 on this, which is the very good 35-100 that Panasonic make. It's, you know, I've forgotten what the focal, I forgot what it is. F-wise, I can't remember. It's fixed aperture, but I can't remember what it is. Can't see the box. It's disappeared. But it's a damn fine lens. Let me put that back up so you can see. Damn fine lens. So with that as well, and if you think you had the 20-60 and the 70-300, that's going to almost cover everything you need for the most part. And then you've got the primes to go in there as well. So it's going to be, you know, it really is interesting. And if these come out at the right price, it's all going to be dependent on what these cost. You know, if that's going to be over £1,000, then it's no good. You know, the 35-100 I've got here, I paid 500 quid for, and whilst that's an awful lot of money, it's an unbelievable lens for £500. So if they can keep these L-mount lenses about the 500 to 800 mark, because okay, it's new, this lens has been out a few years, so the prices are a bit lower on it right now. I had a cracking deal with it because it's normally about 700 quid. But if they can bring out these zooms around 700, 800, 900, I think it's going to be a bargain. If these primes are going to come in 5, 6, is a lot of people are going to be very, very interested, especially if you compare that to the current prices of L-mount lenses, because it is scary. You know, the price of an L-mount lens at the moment is very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. So, again, it sounds like an old IBM keyboard from the late 80s. That's interesting. That might be the microphone change then. Actually, that's quite interesting. That must be the mic picking it up. Price is unimportant. It's value that counts. You know, lenses are an investment in cameras. That's for sure. You know, it's an awful lot of money, crazy money you spend on these, but you do take into account you do get it back if you sell them later, or not get them back, but you certainly do get hurled value. And that's the good thing with MFT, for instance. It's got a good value used area, and that's why I love the MFT system, because it does have a very high value used section as well of lenses. But for me, Panasonic have made L-mount unobtainable to suddenly being very, very interesting overnight. So, but I want to see how much these lenses cost. If these primes are £1,000 a piece, it's no good. It's no good. These primes have to be value. These aren't pro lenses. These need to be everyday primes that people can buy. You know, if you can get 4 lenses for £2,000, I think that's a cracking deal. Don't think that'll happen, but if you can get 3 lenses for £2,000, okay, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. So just get your old lenses, quickly clean them, inscribe them, and put them on eBay. Scotch-Brite, clean. Put them on eBay. Not Scotch-Brite, Bruce. No, but no. As I said, it is taking me everything in my bones not to buy this camera right now. Especially when bloody Ian ordered it. Because I saw his message. He sent me the message to say I ordered it. And I was so annoyed. Lucky, lucky boy. So, very, very good. Now, as Bruce has said, Bruce has got a review coming on a Panasonic camcorder, and it'd be well worth a look, because I do know it's a very good bit of kit as well. And for those who want camcorders, and many people still use camcorders, many people prefer that style of device. It suits them. You know, I do like proper cameras. It's just the way I am. But it could be worth checking that one out, especially if you do make content. Okay. I suppose we should talk about this thing. Now, this thing, which is that thing there, is that actually showing up on the screen right now? Yes, it is. Now, for those who have guessed, it's basically a multimeter. That's basically what it is. I have no idea if this still works. I have not really much of an idea how it works, if I'm honest. Now, I have had a quicker look around online, and it's battery powered, I believe. There's a picture there. I'm not sure if that's the inside of this one. That isn't. But what we're going to do is we're going to pop the cover off it and have a look. Now, bearing in mind, no one's been in this for 30 years. I don't even know what. There could be something dead in there. I have no idea. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. But we'll go in and have a look. That's a clean one. Look at that. Mine is not that clean. Look at that. And then look at that. That's night and day, isn't it? Yeah, that's not the same. Now, I have found a manual for it online, and I've had a read through earlier. Now, I think it's a bridge meter, measures own capacitance by placing in the values and then compared. Yeah, exactly. It's a form of multimeter, as I understand it, and I think, and Bruce will probably be able to correct me if I'm wrong, because he'll have far more experience on this, is the way it works is as Bruce has said, that you're comparing values. So you're not measuring, you're setting it until you get it to say null, I'm assuming, which means that is the value of the device you have attached. They called it a bridge meter, as Bruce has said, but it's like an old multimeter, basically, is what this thing is. You know, it was battery powered. I don't know when it was released. 1967, the manual is labelled. That's the year the manual has on there, which is incredible. 1967. So, very interested indeed. Now, I've also got this manual as well, which is a bit different, which shows how it works, but it doesn't look like the original. Yeah, 1967 again on that manual, but it just doesn't have the picture. Yeah, that's it, Bruce. Then you balance it. So, yeah, so let's hop over to the bench on this. So, if we take a look at this a minute, and I'm just going to touch this camera because I want to move the screen so I can see what I'm actually pointing at, and I'm going to try and not knock this over at the same time. So, let's get in a bit. What we've got is obviously a load of settings, and we've got a dial, you know, a gauge in the middle, which has null in the center. Now, my basic understanding of it, and Bruce will be able to tell me if I am wrong, is that, for instance, you would set it on resistance. So if we find this, we've got ohm, and I would set this to say 280 ohm, which I've now done. We'll ignore the loss balance here a second. We would set this to one of the settings, not sure which one yet. And then the goal would be, if you knew you had a resistor, say 20 to 200 ohm, or 300 ohm, when you got the right resistance value, the dial would be on null. When you didn't have the right resistance value, it would either be ahead of it or behind it, depending on which direction you were going. So just the component value itself. So it's interesting that it's sort of, you know, you're comparing values. You're setting the device's internal value, and then you're comparing that to the value of what you've connected up, basically. And when the values match, the needle would be in the null bit. That is how I basically believe it works. Now, this doesn't turn on. You know, nothing happens on battery check. I've got no idea what's in the back of this. I really wish I had a pair of gloves in here right now. Much simpler to use. Yes, I bet they are, Bruce. I bet they are. So what we're going to do, we're going to zoom out, is what we're going to do first of all. Sorry to scare you guys at that. And we're going to pull the back off, and we're going to have a little bit of a look. Now, this thing was not very pretty earlier, to say the least, at all. Where it's been living has been not a pretty place either. So we could find anything inside of this, to be honest. Now I'm just going to get up and find a screwdriver. I acquired this myself many years ago. What I can't tell you is where from. Now, I used to be heavily involved with amateur radio, and it was in those days I acquired it. Now, I'm trying to remember, did someone give it to me with a load of amateur radio gear? I honestly don't remember. But I certainly acquired it, possibly legitimately. I can't be 100% honest, 100% truthful on that, if I'm honest. Now, I do have some recollection in my head of taking this apart in the past, but I have no idea what we're going to find in here. I wish I had a pair of gloves. 1 second. I'm going to see if I can find a pair. 2 seconds. Entertain yourselves for 1 moment, guys. Sorry, I'm just going to get a pair. Hello, I am back. No, yeah, I'm back. I'm back. Towards the chair. Sorry about that. I couldn't find my pack of disposable gloves. I want to put them on because I have no idea what's in here. There could be a dead rat or anything. Anyway, bit of a wuss, I know. But anyway, let's go for it. It's not been in a very pretty place at all. So, now, I don't know how it actually opens up. Let's get a screwdriver. I'm assuming that doesn't come off. That feels very firmly in. There's no more screws underneath. And just those two on the back. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. I'm being an idiot. It comes out from the top. I wonder if anyone's screaming that in the comments of the video. Let's have a look. It's got a Made in England label. It must be old. Right, okay. The whole back comes off. Made in England. It is number 217, type 150 or 450. I'd say that's 450, but I'll have a closer look. So, the front actually comes out. And that is the inside, just to show you guys. There's nothing in there. Oh, it does stink. But there it is. Now, the first interesting point is there is no battery at all in it. The battery has been removed. Now, internally, other than the clear smell of spiders, it has that whiff to it, it's in very good nick. Actually, we have a transformer on the top, so if let's bend him over and let me zoom you in so you guys can see. Let me manually focus this with one finger. No, other way. No, other way. There we go. There you go, guys. So this is the top PCB, the oscillator, and it says AVO Limited B150 part number and issue 1, which means it's one of the first one. So this is the oscillator detect amplifier. We have a transformer, we have some capacitors, have a diode, VT transistors, some very early transistors there, very early transistors indeed. some more capacitors and some resistors. So is there a crystal in here? Because if it's an oscillator, there should be a crystal. So there's a transistor, VT4, so they're transistors. Very early transistors as well. That's very cool indeed, isn't it? Let me just have a look at what the comments are saying, guys. Yeah, very interesting. That is a very interesting. Yeah, you made it properly made, you know. Actually, let me get you guys right in so you can see it. Let me make sure that's properly focused so you guys can really. I need a bit more light, actually. Let me just pop him down as well. A bit more light so you guys can. It's very difficult in here to get the light right on the bench, but there you go. Just trying to move so it focuses the right point there. Very nice indeed. Very nice. As you say, proper build piece of gear. Proper build indeed. Now then, on the bottom of that, it's properly mounted on a massive solid plate. And then what we've got is the gauge at the top here. I spin him round and then just zoom out a tad so you can see a bit more. We've got the gauge, the back of the gauge. We've got the switch pack. The switch pack is awesome, frankly. That's the only term I'll use to that. If I turn that around, you zoom you in and then focus on the switch pack. The switch pack is just beautiful as a piece of electronic gear. Look at that. All the individual contacts. Very little corrosion on them as well. Then further down you've got the other switch pack with the adjustment, the potentiometer. I'm guessing that's a potentiometer for the thing. And then you've got the contacts, the input contacts. Look at them. Absolutely stunning. Plates between each contact. So as the jack plug went in, it would push up or push down. Absolutely lovely. Absolutely lovely. It really is. Let me spin it round, and then under here, let's just focus that again for you guys so you can see it properly. We've then got another switch pack over here. Let's take us out a touch. There you go. And then you've got this Relcon 10 ohms plus minus 10%. So is that a potentiometer? That one? Oh, it's got a switch. A potentiometer on the back of a switch, it looks like. That's what it sort of looks like. I could be wrong, because it's not got many contacts on it. It's not like a switch pack like these two. These two are clearly switch packs. Zoom you out a bit more. These two are clearly switch packs, but this one here says Relcon Controls Limited, Swindon in England. Wow, look at that. That's just so you guys can see that as well. I could do with the 4K crop mode actually. Have I got that actually? No, I haven't got that added. Have I got that added on, the 4K crop? Oh, I have. There you go, look. If I lift that up, you guys can see it then. There you go. I can't turn it round, but you can see that label. Let me turn it. There you go. On the back of that switch pack. Fantastic. Now, let's take us out a touch. Let me turn that 4K crop off a second, guys. There you go. And I've just got to refocus you. Sorry. There you go. What a nice bit of kit. It really, really is a very, very nice bit of kit indeed. Just catching up on the comments. More light Azzy. AC series transistors. Beautiful. She made lots of passion. Multi-way for rotary switches, a relic from the past. Polyester caps. Precision. Now the interesting fact is, what I'm trying to work out what battery this would have had. I think would have it been 6 volt? Do you think? Apparently these things would have sent sensitive information back to the UK. There is some very big irony to that, Bruce. There really is some very, very much irony. What a lovely bit of kit, though. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. Now, we've got some more controls here. We got Colvery Limited, England as well. More switch packs. Overall, though, inside I have to say it's in very, very nice nick. It really is. Now, I'm going to have a look on the instructions to see. Now, I am going to be doing a cleanup on this, and I'm going to be doing a dedicated video on this. But I'm going to have a cleanup, and I want to see what voltage it takes, because we could try and power this thing up. Let me take my gloves off a minute. What a bit of kit. What a bit of kit. Let me just do that. I'll leave. Let's go back to the desktop and look at the manual. So what we've got here, power, introduction specification. Here we go. Let's go down the specification. Internal power supply, 9 volt battery, PP9. One of these. You can still buy them, look. You can still buy the PP9s. Look at that. You did. You did, Bruce. PP9. So we're talking 9 volt. Interesting. So I'm tempted to power this up off the PSU and see what happens. Should we go for it? This could only end badly. You are so old. You really are so old, Bruce. Yes. Okay, let's get that back up. They go in fire alarms. Do you know, I remember them, but I couldn't remember what they were for. Okay, so let's just take this out a tad a second, and let me have a look here. Okay, so we're going to need a cable, and we're going to need something I can clip onto there with, which I've got, but I haven't got anything long enough, is my first problem. That's about right, Bruce. Can't remember what I had for breakfast, but can remember the battery of a 60-year-old piece of gear. Fantastic comment. Okay, so what we're going to do is turn him around. Oh. We've got me power supply, and I've got me power supply with 2 crocodile clip outlets. Now I really need to make this longer. That is the first thing I have learned today, is I need to make this quite a bit longer. Let's move my fan being held with a nail. Shall we? And let's get in a tad closer and get to the power connector. So I'm assuming in British history, red still means plus. And that hasn't changed. Let's go to negative. Still very much that. Okay, so we have power on, connected. Let's see. Here comes the fire. At 9 volts, I'm not expecting fire. But let me just reposition the camera so you guys can see. a lot better. And let's zoom in for you as well. Now what I'm then going to do, let's make sure the focus is nice too. We want the nice focus. Okay, so let's fire up the power supply. Now the nice thing with my power supply is it always comes off into the off position, so we can set the voltage independently, and we can actually set a current limit on it as well. So let's just wait for it to power up. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I'm just going to unplug the positive a second, fire him up. We are going to set the voltage to 9 volt. I'm just going to make sure that it is, I'm just going to go 8.95. Let's just go just below. Let's then set, should we set a current limit on this? Current, probably, yeah, I'm going to set a current. What did it say in the manual again? It did say how much current. It did say, one second, I just wanted to see what, because the manual said how much current. So, approximately 4 milliamp. Approximately 4 milliamp. Okay, so what we will do is set the preset to 8.9 volt, 4 milliamp. Well, that's 100 milliamp. If I set it to, if I set the limit to half an amp, that way we're not going to get much through it that way. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to go. Currently, it's drawing 0.1 of an amp. So the first thing we need to do is, if I do the battery check, does anything happen? No. Nothing happens at all with the battery check. Now I do want to just check. It is drawing 0.1 of an amp, mind. So I am just checking we are. Oh, actually, we're not drawing 0.1 of an amp. My fan is drawing 0.1 of an amp. That's a good point. I forgot about that. I've got my fan connected, look, in the corner. It started spinning. So we're drawing 0.1 of an amp off the fan. If we just test that a second, see. No, we've got nothing. Nothing kicking in on him. Now just check. I'm not. Oh, I might actually. Right, so that's off. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so the multimeter is diving down as soon as I actually turn the unit to on. No fun. Nice fan to blow the smoke away. Yeah, I remember checking the PP3s. I really did. Okay, so we're currently, you guys can't quite see this, which is a shame. But the meter is currently 8.55 volt and we're drawing about 1 amp because of my fan. Let me just disconnect my fan. I have a fan on here. That's my... There we go. Fan stopped. Okay. There we go. So fan is disconnected. We're definitely on plus and minus, so we're okay on that. So if I now turn the knob to on to that first switch position, nothing happens. If I turn it to the second switch position, nothing seems to happen. Set it to the third. No. Okay. No. Let me just double check we have the connections right. Not right, but I'm getting a good connection down here because the battery connection is a tad corroded, but it's okay, it's not terrible. Okay, so let's try this again. Ooh, something happened then. We had a... So, we're getting nothing off the internal battery check. So what I don't know is this gauge actually still working, or is it seized, I wonder? There is a an adjustment on it. No, she moves. Okay. Well, we've not had any magic smoke. So let's put it into position 1 and give it a bit of a wiggle. Now we've got resistance. Now we did get something happen then on the power supply. I did hear the PSU kick, which it's okay. I suspect the issues here are the contacts on this top switch pack, if I'm honest. It's interesting because we're not getting anything on the battery check, and we you know, you would assume the battery check should behave. There's no reason that wouldn't work correctly. You know, we've got 8.9 volt. You know, I can set the voltage to 9.05 just to see if that does anything. You know, no, it's all fine. We're on minus to minus. Red is definitely plus, one would assume. Just make sure that. And another bit of the power input. It's actually making a noise. It's whistling slightly. There's a very slight whistle to it. Binding posts. Yeah, what we've got is okay, let's get a multimeter on it, as Bruce said. It's whistling. Okay, let's just turn the power supply off a second and let that go off, and let's have a look on the back. Let's just have a look at how things are actually looking, because what I didn't do is actually take a proper look at where things were going and everything. So we've got our main power cable here, which everything looks okay. It's a bit bright, sorry guys, you can't really see that very well. Yes, there's some corrosion on these connections, but where I'm connecting onto is fine. There's no problems there at all. That then is heading up into the main switch pack. And I think the likelihood is the switch contacts. If I look at it, it is quite dirty. Now what I can do is do a test, and we'll just have a look if power goes anywhere else. Just looking through just to see where everything is. So I'll just hop onto the comments a second, see if I'm missing anything. Cut the green wire. You need is a multimeter. Yes, I'll get mine out now. At the front top is a test connection. Front top. What's he saying, a test connector? There'll always be tests on these ones in there. Right, okay. Let's get the multimeter and let's have a look. And what we'll do is we'll just see if there is any joy or life anywhere. I'll use the portable rather than the bench. Let's just go. Okay, so I think what we'll do first of all is just do some earths Just check some earths around it, make sure all of that is doing what it should be. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Chassis earthed nicely, so there's no issues there. Okay, so let's just have a look where the positive goes. So the positive cable comes up and it goes onto this element of the switch pack here. Wow, what I love is the earth bonding on this. I'll show you guys a bit closer in a minute. The earth bonding is right there and everything's going everywhere. That is fantastic. So that's the power coming in there on that leg of the switch pack. And what I'm just trying to see is where that goes. Then you've got a resistor that comes across to here. We've got, what is that? It's a good bit of kit, whatever it is, on the back. Okay, so if we turn him on, so no, so that's, I'm just looking over here at where some of these wires go a second. Right, so we've got a red plus wire coming over from the switch pack down the bottom. It's interesting. Okay. This damn thing says external AC isolated. So let me just look at something. This doesn't... I just want to make sure that there wasn't like a jack meant to be in there until you pull it out or something like that. Switch is off. Does it, Bruce? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so if we then check the function switch, there's no continuity there. No continuity there. No, I haven't actually thinged this out, you know, pinned this out completely. I'm just I'm going to have to... There's a full circuit diagram in the manual as well, actually, which is very good. Okay. But I just want to see this unit down here, because what we have is a set of switches down here, which is quite interesting. What you've then got is the plus power comes into this... Okay. Interesting, interesting. Okay. So we know power comes in to here. No, we don't know power's coming into there. Is it coming into there? No. Where's it going? Yes, it is. So power's coming into here. It's going through that resistor. That's fine. Going down to the bottom of the switch pack. That's fine. That's fine. Just want to make sure something a second, guys. That's all I'm doing. Okay. Okay, let's just have a quick look at the circuit diagram, I think. Let's have a look. Recapped, I'd say. Ductors, yeah. Okay, what I'm just going to do is just go back to the desktop a second, guys. And because the interesting thing is, in the manual, there's a full circuit diagram. And this is the great thing about this type of stuff, is that there is a circuit diagram. It's double pole. Yeah, it is. So what we've got here, look, is a very old circuit diagram. Now, I wonder if this manual actually has a better quality one. Let's just look, as it looks it. Here it is. There we go. Let's zoom in. It's not much better, but it's better. Okay, so let's find the battery. Anyone see the battery? Anyone see the battery yet? Switch back. That's the 3000 on the bottom. Yes, Bruce. Oh, Gary, sorry. Right. Where is our battery input? Right hand side. Is it that? I can't see. Let me try and get in a bit more. There we go. All right, let's have a look. Right hand side. What we've got the main switch knob. Third of the way down. Are you looking? Am I blind? Transformer. Where am I? I'm being blind, am I? Oh, are you talking this? Or are you talking this input here? Oh no, wait there. Are we here, are we? Third of the way down here. That's the 3 points. Is that the battery there? I can't. Between the top rightmost switches, so that's the top rightmost switches. We then got this here. Then you've got this switch. I'm being blind. Bruce is looking at a symbol, I'm not. So obviously we've got that switch there. We've got the 3 topmost, so 1, 2, 3. You're winding me up, are you? Okay. Let's find the battery test switch. It's got to be here somewhere. It's got to be here somewhere. It's not easy to read this at all, is it? Just checking there isn't anything else. Oh, there's that other cover. Oh, is it? Let's just go down and see if... Is that in a different language? No. It's a bit tidier, this one. So junction switches, where's the battery test? Yeah, battery check is there. Okay, so let's just have a look. Battery check. So that's the battery tech. Press for battery check, so juke. So you got RV1. I'm gonna have to have a bit of time on this, I think, and having a dig. Is that 9 volt there? Does that say 9 volt? That looks like Earth. battery check. So these, not easy, not easy at all. I'm gonna have a dig around and see what I can find. What I might have to do is download this and put it back together, in the sense of, you know, line all the lines back up and try to understand where the battery is meant to be going. You know, we've got the meter, we've got the battery test, we've got earth there. You've then got the switch pack which does that to there, that to there. So that earths the meter on this side. So when we're pushing the battery in, that earths this side of the meter, and then this brings this press for on. But where's this going? You know, that when that's coming down, that press on battery check, but that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And that's going to, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Yes, Bruce. But if I just trace that line up there, all the way up, goes to there, which then goes to there. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Okay, I think it's one I'm going to have to put a bit more time into. I am going to do it, and it is something I'm going to do. Is just have a pin around a bit more, and it's one we will talk about on the channel again in the future. Now, we know the earths are good. It's just figuring out where the voltage goes, and I know where it goes, so I've just got to start looking at this switch pack and understanding, which is interesting. Okay, that's interesting. I now understand that. Okay, so that's currently there. It's not going to do anything. That's currently there. It's not going to do anything. Is that? 2 seconds. So it's the center of that one. So power there isn't going to do anything. Power there isn't doing anything. Power there isn't doing anything. And power there, which is going around to the back end of the switch pack. Interesting. Okay, so at some point it gets from there to here. There, no. Aha. Aha. So we now have power to the board there. And that is when we are on the QX1 on LC setting. Okay. Okay, very interesting. What I will check is what I do know is when you push, you just check this a second. Just do one thing. When I push that battery meter in, one side of this is meant to be earthed. Which it isn't. Which is interesting. So I think let's just do one thing on the battery switch. Let's just check that actually works, because that could actually be our problem, couldn't it? Okay, interesting. Just pin this other one out. Check in one last thing. And then pin him to there. And then when I do him, no, there. Yeah, that's fine. That switch is fine. Couldn't quite get my hands in there then to try it. But okay, what we'll do, there's no shorts. All good. It's one I'm going to have to spend a bit of time on, I think, having a play. But there we go. So that is that. Coming back over. That is that one. Quite interesting. Into summer, no shorts. Yes. So it's one I'm going to play with a bit on the bench. It's one I'll put a bit of time into. And I will talk about it again on the channel. Very cool bit of kit, though. You know, 1969 when it was manufactured. So fantastic. Now, that is about it for me this week, guys, on the live stream. And if you've got any questions, please do put them in the comments before we finish up. Obviously, this is going to be the new home of this one. If you are new to the channel and you're watching live, the main channel where I put most of my content, I should say, is this channel here. This is the main Mads channel, Mads Tech Tips and Tutorials. Obviously, you're watching this one on the live. Please do hit that subscribe button. There's only 90 of us at the moment on this one, but hopefully we can build that up. Is it 90? Let's just refresh it. 93! Yes! 93. So please do check out, though, the main channel, which is where the main stuff is going on as well. I'll be going live again on Sunday night, and the random ones will appear on this one now. Tell me what you think about the live stream being on a separate channel. Ooh, the Here 3. Yes, I was going to talk about the Here 3. Mark just reminded me. Let me just do something. Okay. Now, the Here 3 has officially launched now. Let me just bring up docs. Here 3 manual. The Here 3 has now officially launched. The Cubepilot guys have now got the Here manual up for the Here 3 and the walkthrough as well of setting it up and getting it working. Showing you about the RTK operation as well. And I'm going to be talking about that in a video. I've got an RTK video coming specifically on this. Also, he has now put up the 3D printed stand available, which is this one, for the Here 3 as well, because it doesn't come with a GPS stand. So they've now put up the files for this. So let me just have a look. If we actually unzip it, go away, extract to downloads. And if we open this up in Prusa Slicer, I think it'll open up in Prusa Slicer. Let's have a look. Oh, no, go away. No updates. Downloads. Let's have a look how it looks. Here 3 stand. Ew. Okay, so what bloody file is this in then? I haven't actually looked at this myself yet. Downloads. Stand. STP. What bloody file is an STP file? I can't even think. .3D viewer. What opens an STP file then? Can we have an STL? Let's have a look. my software? Let's have a look. I tend to use Autodesk 123 Design for doing most of my stuff because I've used this software for years and it's bloody fantastic. It's old, but it's fantastic. Downloads. Aha! It recognized it. Boom! There we go. So we have opened it up in 123 Design. Okay, I'll share an STL of this for people because you do need an STL. So obviously you don't get the here 3. We don't want this bit of it. It's the stand element we want. So if you see there, I've just moved the base element out. We want to put that back where it was. So we're going to go back. Now, what we're going to be able to do then is either 3D print this in multiple parts. Now, we're not going to want... The cool thing is, actually, we've actually got the full design here for the shell. So we can 3D print a Here 3 shell. How cool is that? That's very cool. Very cool indeed. So what we're going to want to do is... The actual thing we're going to want to do is get rid of that. Get rid of the board inside because we don't need a board. We don't need that. Get rid of that. We don't need that. Do we need the bottom shell? No, we don't need the bottom shell. We don't need the lights, and that's the bit we need. So we could either try to 3D print this as one big unit, which is just not going to happen because well, it will happen. Prusa Slicer would do it. Like, for instance, let's just export that as an STL a minute. Export as STL. Combine objects. We'll do it to stand 1. And then if we open Prusa Slicer, stand 1. Loading of model failed. Ooh, didn't like that, did it? Oh dear. Why didn't it like that? Export as STL. Did I actually click the wrong one? Yes. Let's just try that again. The comments up. File, stand 1. Ooh, it really doesn't like that. Okay. So, let's export it as individuals without them combined. No combining. Fine. Stand, yes, we'll replace the existing one. File, import. Really doesn't like it at all, does it? So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. And we've got just the base now. So let's go fine. Export as STL. We'll have it as fine. We don't need to combine the objects. We'll click OK. We're going to call it stand 1 again. We'll overwrite it. And then we will import that. Hey! So we can do that bit. Then if we go back, and what we'll then do is get rid of them. We'll get rid of the base, and then we'll export that bit. File, save as STL, and we'll go stand 2, and then we'll click back. I think what we'll do then is get rid of that, and export that bit, although that's going to be horrendous to print. We don't need that. That bit can go. And is that part of... So the screw head needs to go, but that is part of that, isn't it? Yes. Yes. Now the question is, do we want it with that or without that? We can probably survive without it, but we'll export it with it. STL, fine. Combine objects, because we want that to be one piece. Stand 3. So let's just see, does this come in okay? We want stand 2, which is the tube. We'll tell it to order them. We'll have to level that up so that prints straight, and then we'll bring in stand 3. Okay, now here is where this is going to be a complete pain in the ass. That is never going to print. That is that. Oh, that's me selecting it, Bruce. If that's just the model I've selected. Robert Nelson, been printing the last part of the here thing. Did you print it in individual parts, Rob? How'd you get on with this? This is going to be a complete pain in the ass. What are you doing, people? What are you doing, Philip? Here 3 is here. Now we could print that. Let's have a look what it says. Support, or we could print. It's not going to want to print. That's going to be a bit of a nightmare, that one. The tube's easy. The base is easy. The question is whether we actually do it as one. So if we go back, we don't want that. And we sort of have it like that. Let's try and export it as that. Save, export as 3D STL, combine objects, stand 4. And then if I just take that off, because that may be a bit of a problem. Come on, wiki. This software is a bit clunky because it's very, very old. We also don't want the screw. So I need to resave that. File, export as STL, because I forgot to take the screw off. What an idiot. Stand 4, overwrite that one, and then we'll do a stand 5 just without that screw piece, just in case. Just to see how it looks. Did you bring the comments up? Here. It's the chair. It's always the chair causing the problem. Yeah. I think we can get away without that. And just export like that. File. Export as STL. Combine objects. Fine. We'll call it stand 5. Okay. So let's clear what we got. Get rid of them. And then let's bring in stand 5. Does not like stand 5. Bring in stand 4. Oh, hey. Okay. So stand 4 has come in as one unit. So that we would print as one piece. Okay. So if we then take a look at slicing it, and we can then have a look at it each layer at a time. Now, okay, everything's fine to there. That'll print absolutely fine. No problems there. But I'm intrigued what happens here. Because how much overhang is here? Loads. That's never going to do that. It's never going to just do that. If you see that piece appearing here. So if I just move this to show you. If I go through the layers and go down. That can't just do that without support. It's going to have a problem. So one option to this, and there's a very simple solution to this, actually, is you print these two as one piece, and then we print that separately. Is what would be my solution. The gentleman who is printing it, what has you done, Robert? I had to open it up in Fusion in order to make the STL file. Yeah, have you printed it as one piece, Robert? I'd be intrigued to know. Because that's a bit of a pig. I'll be honest. That is a bit of a pig to print. I'm inclined to say print it like that first of all, export as STL, combine 1, we'll just call that 1 a minute, and then go back, and then go back. We don't want that, and then that is just not going to want to print, but they've got that as part of the design. So that's like a rubber ring. Ah, that's a rubber ring. So that shouldn't be there. That's a sealing ring. That is. Ah, so I'd print that separately. This piece I would print on its own. So let's get rid of this. And then just say we'll have this and that on its own. Export as STL, and we'll call this 2. And then we will go back a second. Always the fun of 3D printing. Let's go back to the original. Let's get rid. Let's add in number 1. Yes. Add in number 2. Yes. Okay. So I'm inclined to say we print this like this, but this is not going to be easy. You're going to need this with supports. So we're going to have to rotate this. It's going to be minus 10t. How's that looking? Don't think that's there yet. No. Minus 2. So I think we'd end up printing that like that. Then with supports under, we have to make sure we've actually got it flat. And the way to check you've got it flat is if we do this and then pull the layers down. If you look, it's not flat. It's laying down that nose first. So if you look at the print, it lays down that nose, and then the second layer lays a bit more. Whereas if you look at the first layer on this one here, we've got a full lay down. So it's not quite there yet. So it still wants another minus 5. Oh, no, too much. 5. I'd say minus 1. Let's do that, and let's see how that lays down. That's better. So if we look at that, you can see the first layer lays down nicely. That one lays down nicely. So we now know that is flat, basically. That is bang on. So we are okay on that one. Let's just drag that down. So that'll lay down, but we're going to need supports around this one here. So we're just going to say support. We're only going to want supports on this unit here. So what we're going to do is add a modifier, box. We're going to increase the size of our box. How big is our box? We're going to make it 150. Okay, we'll cover it in the box, and we're going to say that the modifier, so generic box, and we're going to say is support from the build plate only. Yes. I think that's how we do it. It's been a while. No, it isn't, because I've got supports inside that one. I don't want that. I don't want that. Trying to remember. Is it that? I'm trying to remember. I always forget how the modifiers work. They're very clever. Been a while. I'm setting them up straight. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do it. Okay, what we're going to try and do is just trying to remember how to generic box, delete, support material, delete. Okay, so we want to add sporting forces only. I'm trying to remember what that one does. Right. What we're going to then do is add a modifier, add a supporting force box. That's where I went wrong. Make the box 150. So the box will now cover the unit. Sorry, it was me being an idiot. So we've covered it with the box. And what the box is, anything within that box will have supports. So me being an idiot. It's been a while since I've done this. So as you can see now, that part would actually build up with supports, whereas the other one wouldn't, because it wouldn't be necessary. Although I do have a concern how thin that tube looks. That looks very thin, very thin. That, very thin. But as that's one piece, that should be okay. But that would then print like that. So that would then have supports. The only other thing we could do is lay it the other way, but then you're laying it on these, and then you're having to put supports under there, which again, that could be tidier actually. If we did it this way, let's just move that out of the way, rotate that now 180, so we know it's the other way around, and then lay it down flat, minus 25, no, plus 25, so if we go plus 60, that'll probably be closer. That's a bit closer to it. I think we just want to minus 10 on that. That looks more like it. Put the box under there. And then you can see that would print like that. Okay, now I'd have to tweak that slightly just to get it right, but that would then print that way rather than the other way around, and then you would have the badly finished material underneath it and a nice top section. That's probably how I'll end up doing it. I need to have a play with this a bit more, if I'm honest. It needs a bit more time on. It does need a bit more time. Don't need that stub sticking up. The tube, you've got, you using a different piece of tube, are you? Piece of carbon fiber, perhaps. Okay, I need to have a play with this tomorrow when I'm printing. I think it'll probably be like that. Supports for the top piece, or you print them as one, yeah, and use, as you say, you got supports for the top piece. I think the best way to print it is this way round, because that way when you're laying it down, you get in the nicer finished side. Just put that there. Let's just look in how that lays down. Yeah, you get in the nicer finished side of it at the top, which is always your better printed end. I think that's probably a tidier solution. And then print that. How long is it going to take? 2 hours and 17 minutes. I might be tempted to let it go overnight actually and knock one out. And see how it comes out. Be interested to know how thick this wall is. That looks very thin. On the STL, how thick is that? Let's just go back. Get rid of that. What is that wall diameter? I think I might end up modifying that. What is that wall diameter? That's very thin. Very thin indeed. I think I would be very tempted. Control. You're going to grab multiples for me? Okay, I think I'd be very tempted to thicken the inside wall up a tad. Extrude. No, we can't extrude it. What if we tweak it? Well, tweaking is going to move. We don't want to tweak it. What about push and pull? No, it doesn't like that. No, it doesn't want to do that. Okay, I would like to tweak that. I'd like a bit more thickness inside that. I think I'm going to have a play with this. Separate tube and stand, separate to tube and stand up straight. Yeah. I think, you know, printing that as one piece is a possibility. I don't see too much of a problem with that. because you just print the tube, but it does look very thin. That suggests it's 0.6 of a mil. But we can adjust the height of the tube, no problem at all. Want it longer or shorter. I could always push and pull on the thickness. Oh, we can do it that way. Problem is, by doing it that way, you're then, if you did that, you could sort of make it part of the base, but it isn't very tidy then, is it? You know, when you're doing it that way, you can make it as big as you want, but you're affecting then the overall design. Really, what you want is, wait a minute. I don't want the outside on the inside. Let me just get off. I hate it when it does this. Get off. I don't want that. Right, thank you. What I want is this. Push and pull. No, please. Let me play with it. No. No. No, okay. This is one I'm going to have a play with at a later time. I'll have a play with that tomorrow. And I'll tell you guys how I think. Okay, guys. That's it for me on this one. I'd like to thank you for all bearing with me on the live stream tonight. I hope something from it has been useful. Please spread the word on the new live channel. I would appreciate it if we can get the subs up. It'd be great if I could monetize it. I don't get much money out of live streams. I don't get any money out of live streams, so I'm not particularly worried about that. But that's something I'll have a play with offline, I think. And what I'll do is I'll put together an STL and I'll share it. So that's it for this week, guys. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please do subscribe. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful week, and I will speak to you all again soon. Now I've got to figure out how to turn this off. I think there's a button here somewhere. There is a button here somewhere. So we go into the studio, and if I click end stream, and then I click this button here,